So my slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
So today we are going to start with your decision tree. So basically, in the last few classes, we have covered your regression model. So that was also a part of your supervised learning. But in that case of in that supervised learning model, we were predicting the continuous class label. And the classifier, or you can say the supervised learning, which we are going to cover today, in that case we are going to predict the discrete class levels. And in that case the classes could be two class classification problem, even it could go to the multi class classification problem. In case of your two class classification problem, so basically the number of the classes are going to be two. It could be your yes no, it could be positive negative, so in this way you will have the class label. And in case of your multi-class classification problem, it could be, it is going to be more than two. So basically in the this particular lecture we are going to cover, we are going to prepare the model based upon the concept that the model should able to define, able to decide the class label based upon you. It's not going to be a continuous, it's going to be a discrete. This is the only concept. This example, this diagram we have already covered in your last class, and this is also applicable here. Like in this case also, we are going to supply your label data. Along with that, we are going to supply the classes for each of the instances. Now based upon these two combination, based upon the label data, we are going to prepare the model. And at the end, once you are done with the model, once you are done with the refinement of the model and you are having the final model, so based upon that you are going to perform the prediction for your unknown instances. And here you can see the class label is just the discrete one, or so you can say the categorical one. So here class is your square, class is your triangle. The difference from the previous one, like in your previous one this was your continuous, but here in this case is the discrete or categorical, you can consider it. And the way we are going to prepare the model, the it is going to be different from the previous one. Like we were drawing the line, or the line basically helping us to prepare the line is basically helping us to decide the class label for your unknown instance. But here in this case, we, as the name suggests, we are going to make a tree, and that tree is going to be your model. And the same way you are going to supply your instance for which you want to know the class label, and based upon that tree only you are going to decide what should be the class label. So that thing we are going to see. Okay, this thing also we have covered in your last class. The main goal for your classification algorithm is not to decide, is not to just perform well on the training data, because for your training data we already know what is the class label. Our main objective is our algorithm should work well for your unknown instances. So this is this capability is known as a generalization capability. It's not only working for the known one, it's also means it's the general one. It is going to applicable for all the cases, or for all type of the instances. Okay, now there are different type of the classification algorithm. This is not the exhaustive list. Here I have mentioned some of them, and in this, throughout the series, some of the classification algorithm will be covered in the coming classes. In like the logistic regression, naive Bayes classification, classifier, decision tree, rule based classifier, neural network, and support vector machine. These are the some of the classification algorithm. In today's class, we are going to start with your decision tree. How this decision tree, with the decision tree, how we are going to build the model. Once you are having the model, next how we are going to use that model for the classification. So that whole thing we are going to see in the in today's class. Now the thing is, why we need this decision tree? What are the major advantage with your decision tree? So the major advantage of this decision tree is quite the simple one, not that much complicated. And next one is the model which you are able to build using a decision tree. So based upon the model, you can also formulate the rule. Here the formulation of the rule, that we will see how we can formulate it. For now, assume it as we are having a tree, and each branch is basically going to work as a rule. So once we are having the rule, so based upon that that rule is going to be quite understood by the human, and interpretation is also going to be the quite easy one. So these are the two advantage which we are having with respect to your decision tree. Now the here also we are going to cover this decision tree with one of the case, and here our case is your whether loan should be approved for a particular person or not. So in all the cases, whether it's your classification algorithm, or whether it's your regression algorithm, or whether it's your supervised or unsupervised learning task, in case of your machine learning algorithm, we need to decide what are going to be your sets of the attribute. Like in case of a deep learning algorithm, it's going to derive by its own, but in case of your machine learning algorithm, you have to supply these sets of the attribute along with their values. So, and one more thing is, now based upon the what kind of the problem you are having, that also we have covered in the previous class. uh, Based upon the what kind of the algorithm you are having, based upon that particular problem, your sets of the attributes is going to be different. Like here in this case, like your loan application, the attribute could be your credit, income, terms, and personal information. But based, if we are working for the other sets of the problem, so other sets of the problem, so in that case, the number of the attributes or the type of the attributes, that all are going to be different. Okay. For now, we are going to cover these sets of the attribute, and based upon these sets of the attributes, we are going to describe each of the customer. Okay. So here now the this person is going to apply the loan, and in this loan application you are going to have these fields. So these all of the fields which are present in your loan application, that are going to work as a attribute. Each field is your one attribute. So like suppose in this loan application, we are having only these informations. So based upon that, we are going to perform the categorization. Okay. Now we are having these sets of the attribute. So with respect to each sets of the attribute, you will also have some sets of the defined value. Like for your credit, the value could be your excellent, good, fair. For your income also, it could be any value. And in case of your terms, it could be 3, 4, 10, whatever it is. And in case of a personal information, suppose it's your age, a reason for taking loan, what is your marital status. So these things, these are your attributes, and these are the some sets of the possible value which you can have in these sets of the attribute. So you are going to describe each person based upon the attribute, and each person will have only these sets of the defined value. Like for your categorical, it's going to be fixed, but for possibly for your income, it could go to the any number. Like for your age, it could be any number, but like suppose the criteria is your, the age should be 80, more than 80, but maximum is not defined. So the minimum means the person who is going to apply for the loan, the age should be greater than equals to or greater than 18, suppose for this is the case. So for each of the person, the value is going to be 18 or more than that. Same we will have for these cases also. Now, what we are going to do in case of a decision tree, we are going to build this intelligent system, intelligent loan application. Here you can see. So this intelligent loan application we are going to build based upon your previous information. Suppose you are having, for example, suppose you are having these only three sets of the information for these set, each of this application are referring to one particular person. So this is your first customer, second customer, third customer. So based upon these three customer, I have prepared this intelligence system. Okay. And now based upon that, you will have also the class level, whether it's going to be a safe one or whether it's going to be the risky one, because we are having the experience with respect to all three applications. So that experience basically we are integrating in our model. So our model is able to be is going to work for you unknown. Like suppose if I'm supplying with some of the sets of the with some of the combination of the attribute, if I'm going to supply my information in this intelligence system, so my intelligence system is going to say whether it's your safe one or whether it's your risky one. Okay, so this is going to be the case. Like I have prepared this model. Here I'm going to supply this loan application, and for that loan application, I don't know what is the class label. So this classifier model is basically going to predict whether it's your safe one or whether it's your risky one. Now, this is the basic concept with respect to your decision tree or decision tree classifier. How we are going to do this, and detailed description we are going to see in the coming slides. So first we are starting with the definition. As the name suggests, it's your tree. So basically your model is going to have a tree structure. And in your tree you are having root node also, internal node also, leaf also you are having, and branches also you are having. So this structure is the same. Exactly it's the same like normal tree. Like here it's going to look like this. Okay. So I'm starting with the bottom. So this is basically each of the leaf node. Like in this case, this is your leaf node. In this case, this is your leaf node, and in this case, this one is your leaf node. So each of the leaf node is basically going to represent your class label. Like here in this case, the class label was your risky or it was your safe. So for each of these leaf node, the label you can say it's going to be your risky or it's going to be your safe also. One of the class label we will have with respect to each of the leaf node. Okay. Next, we are moving towards your internal node and or your root node. Root node basically the point be the node from where you are going to start your processing. So this is your root node. Let's see. That point you already know. So not going to cover in much detail. This is your root node, and including all this including your root node also. So basically these node are going to basically these node are your attribute basically means with which you are going to describe your going to describe your customer. Like here in this case you were having, like in this case you are having credit, you are having income, you are having terms, and you are having personal information. So whatever node you are having, not this one, this we do not have. Let me correct. These are going to be your internal. This is your basically leaf node, so it's not going to be a part of your internal. Okay. So each of these internal node either have your credit or have income or have a term or it's going to be a personal information attributes. So each of the internal node, including your root node also will have attribute, and that we are going to now. Next is root node we have covered, internal node we have covered, and next leaf node also we have covered. Branches. So basically branches are going to basically represent the attribute value combination. Like suppose for your credit we were having the attribute, we were having the value excellent, fair, and good. So the branches will have this value only. So here we will have, suppose for example, this excellent, for here we will have fair, and here we will have the good. So again, repeating it, the leaf node is going to be the target attribute, or you can say the class label. All the internal node, including your root node, will have the attribute, and the branches are basically representing the value with respect to that attribute. Initially the root will not have any branches, so means for your root there will be no incoming edges will be there. There could be zero or more than zero outgoing edges, so that you already know. Okay, so your structure is going to look like this. So that we will see how we are making this structure. So first we are going to cover elementary part, which we are going to require for your decision tree. Okay. So now as you can see, each of the attribute, like here, this attribute, this credit, this term, this income, all these are your attribute which were representing your instance, or which were representing your customer. And the output you can see, like for a credit we were having only three options: excellent, fair, and poor. So this, the outcome is only going to be that one only. For your terms, for example, we were having 3 years and 5 years, so that's why we are having the two branches. And for your income, suppose the attribute value are in terms of your high and low, so that's why we are having the two branches. So now based upon the attribute, the number of the branches is going to be different. Like here in this case, this credit one, for this credit we are having three outcome, or you can see three branches: good, fair, and excellent. But for your terms we are having only two branches, because we are having these two value is only permissible. Like suppose whenever we are filling the application, so we are having the some sets of the option only. So from that sets of the option only, we can select one of them. So that's so now based upon the field which you have selected, based upon that field you will have the option. So like suppose for your term we are having only two options, 3 years or 5 years. For income, suppose we are having, again we are having two options, so it's your low and high. So this way, this means in this way your model is going to look like sets of the attribute and value of the attribute, so that way your decision tree is going to look. Now as I said, in the this last node is basically going to be your class level. Like here in this case we are having only two classes, safe and risky. So that's why you can see each of the leaf node is either your safe one or it's your risky one. So as you can see, for each of the cases, this case is applicable. Like your the class label is only your risky, or sorry, safe, and it's your risky for each of the leaf node. So whenever we build our decision tree, so in that case also it's going to be a safe and risky only. Now let's see how this how we are going to perform this interpretation. Like, so how we are going to formulate the rule. Like suppose this, with respect to this we are going to formulate the rule. So if the credit is fair, terms is equals to 3 years, then the loan is going to be risky. So this way we have formulated the rule. And this is the part. As I said, in case of your decision tree, you can easily formulate the rule. So the rule which we are going to make is, if the credit is fair and the terms is 3 years, so the loan is risky. In the next one, let's interpret the second one. So like suppose if the credit is poor, income is high, and the loan is equals to 3 years, so even in that case also the loan is risky. So this way basically we are performing our interpretation. Each of the branches are basically representing one of the rule, as I said. Like this branch, or you consider this branch, or you consider this branch. Each of the branches are basically helping you to formulate the rules. Once you are having the rules, so based upon that rule you can perform your prediction. So that we will see how we are performing that prediction. Like suppose we are having this test instance. So as you can see, we are having three attributes. So for your credit you are having the value in poor. For income you are having the value high. For the term, you are having the value 5 years. So for that we are not having the class level, so that we are going to calculate. So we are starting with your credit. Credit is poor, so moving to this branch. Next, income is high, so moving to this branch. And the term is 5, so moving to this branch. So what is your class label? So class label is your same. So this way we are going to calculate that way we are going to decide the class label for your unknown instance. So as you can see, the interpretation is quite comparatively easy. Simply follow the branches based upon your income and you will have the class label. Just to summarize this part, in case of a decision tree, you are having these sets of the instances. So this is your training instances, like your credit, term, income, and in total I think we are having in total 9 number of the instances we are having. So based upon these nine number of the instances, I am preparing the model, and in order to prepare the model I am using this decision tree. Now once you are done with your model, now you will have this final model. So now based upon that, we are going to predict the class level for your test instance. So that we have seen, we were having some training instances. Based upon that training instances, we have prepared this model. Once we are done with the model, so we have predicted the class level for your unknown instances. that we have already seen. Now the next thing is like we are having different sets of the attribute. Now we need to select which attribute I need to go with, or and once we have created our model, then how your model is behaving, that thing we need to quantify. So in order to quantify this thing, we are having different performance measures. So so for this evaluation of the model, so for that we are having the separate class. So for now we are just going to take how much incorrect classification you are having, so that how we can calculate it. Like suppose if you are having 10 number of the instances, so we simply calculate out of that 10 number of the instances how many of the instances we have classified incorrectly. So that is going to define your error. So that you can see, just a simple equation we are having. This is your total number of the instances, and out of this total number of the instances, how many incorrect classification you are having. So for that you will get the value between 0 to 1. So 0, that means 0 defines you are not having any error at all. You are able to classify each and every instances very correctly. But in the reverse case, if you haven't classified any of the instances correctly, so in that case the value is going to be 1. Okay. But this is your with respect to your classification error. Suppose if you are taking the accuracy, so in that case how we are going to calculate it, the very slight modification will be there. This is going to be the total number of the instances. Out of this total number of instances, how many correct classification is there, so that is going to define your accuracy. And in that case, these value are going to be just the reverse one. So if the value is 1, that means you have classified each and every instances very correctly, so that is going to be 1. And in the worst case, you haven't classified any of the instances correctly, so in that case it is going to be 0. So just reverse of this error. Okay, so now based upon your classification error, we are going to test how accurately my model is behaving. So this is one of the way to judge how accurately your model is behaving. We are having numbers of the performance measures, so that performance measures we can use it. And each of the error is each of the measure is having its own advantage and disadvantage. So based upon the what you want, so based upon that also you need to select with which performance we need to go ahead. So that is also going to depend upon what you want to achieve. So that also we will see. Okay. Now the next thing is means that this is one of the way means once you have prepared your model, and then test how your model is behaving. So this is one of the way to judge. Means this is one of the way to judge how accurately your model is behaving. Now the next question comes is, like we are having n number of the or m number of the features. So how to select which feature combination I need to use for in order to make my decision tree. So the one way could be your exponential. That means try all possible combination of your given sets of the attribute, and based upon that different combination you will build many trees, and now testing how each of the tree is going to work. So this thing you can use when you are having very small number of the instances and a small number of the features, mainly if you are having the small number of the features. So in that case you can go with your exponential combination, try each and every combination, and then testing which is working better for your case. But if the number of the features are very large, like if it is a 4 or 5, then in that case you can try all possible combination. But if the features in 1000, so it's quite difficult to try all possible combination. It's next to impossible to perform all possible combination and then testing how each and every created model is working. So this is not going to be applicable for a very large number of the when you are having a very large number of the atoms. So this is not going to be going to be it's not going to be that much easy one. So we need to have some kind of the way, so that instead of going for the exponential combination, we can select the best sets of the features. even without going for your exponential combination. So that we will see, that we are going to see how we can, instead of going for the exponential combination, we are going to see how to select the features. Okay. So before moving to the further details, so these three things we need to address when we are using this decision tree. So that part we have already covered, what your internal node, what is your branches are. So main thing is from which node we need to start. This is your first question. Next node is with which node we need to proceed further, and at what point we need to stop. So these three questions, from which node we need to start, with which node we need to proceed, and with which node we need to stop. So these questions we are going to address, and by addressing these questions, you are able to build your decision tree. Okay. So one of the way is your greedy strategy. So basically, in case of the greedy strategy, whichever is looking best, select that one. Like suppose if I'm selecting the credit one, and based upon that credit one, if I'm able to divide each and every instances very correctly, so that credit card I'm going, that credit, not credit card, that credit I'm going to select as my attribute. So this is one of the way to select it. Just whichever is working best, and that best we are deciding based upon your sum of the performance measure. Like if I'm selecting credit and you are having clear cut division between your given sets of the instances, so this credit we are going to select. Okay. Now let's see how it's going to work. So initially you will have this distribution. Means initially, as you haven't started your tree building, so in that case your tree is empty one. And this part is not denoting your tree element of your tree. Basically, it's denoting the distribution of your instances. So basically, distribution of the instances, that means these number of the instances are part of your class 1, and these number of the instances are part of your class 2. So class 1, that means these number of the instances you is having safe class, and these number of the instances you are having the risky class, and in total it is going to represent total number of the instances which you are having in a data set. Now suppose you have selected this credit as your attribute. Now your credit, you are having this excellent, fair, and poor. So here you are having all the data. You are having, suppose for example, you are having all 40 data at this place. Now when you are considering this credit, so based upon the attribute which is having the credit as the class, as the value, attribute value, it's going to fall into this side. The sets of the instances which is having the value fair, then it's going to be that side, and the sets of the instances which is having the value poor, it's going to be in that side. So all of your data has been divided into the three different branches. Here your excellent, here your fair, here your it's your poor. We are not going to see what the other attribute value is. We are simply going to perform the analysis based upon your one attribute, and that is your credit. So like here you were having some sets of the instances positive, some sets of the instances negative. So all these sets of the instances has divided into this part. So as you can see, this total has been divided into all three. This total has been divided into all three. Okay. Now next thing is now we are going to make the prediction. So like here in this case, suppose for example, all of the instances which are a part of this excellent, which are a part of this site is having one class. So I can simply say that when the credit is excellent, then the class label will always be safe. In this case, as some of the instances are safe, some of the instances is saying that it's safe, some of the instances is saying it's unsafe. In this case, some of the instances is saying safe, and some of the instances is saying unsafe. So for this, I'm able to simply say what the class label is, but in these two cases, I'm not able to clearly say what the class label is. Okay. So when you have this kind of the condition, when you are able to clearly say what should be the class label, so at this point I'm going to stop. That means I'm not going to explore this side further. But in these two cases, we are not able to decide. So in that case, that means I'm going to explore it further. And even you can stop it at this point. So this is going to depend upon you, how you want to move. Okay. So this is a summary of that part, starting with your empty tree. Empty tree, that means all of the nodes, all of the instances are going to be a part of, going to be at one place only. Now we are going to perform selection of your attribute. Now based upon that selection, I am going to either I am going to split it or I am going to stop it. I'm going to stop it if there is no further division. Like here in this case, I'm going to stop it because here we are not, here we are able to clearly say what is the class level. There is no further division is possible. So I'm going to stop it. This is one of the case. And if we are not able to decide, I'm going to perform the recursion. So if I'm not able to decide, again I'm going to select the attribute, again going to perform the division. Based upon that division, I'm going to see whether at this point I'm going to say that it's going to be a totally going to be a one class or it's totally going to be the another class. So based upon that, we are going to iterate in this in these phases. Okay. Now the issue with respect to this, as I said, we needed to select the attribute, we needed to select the stopping criteria, we needed to decide the class label. Okay. Now, in order to decide the class label, there could be there could be two possibility. Either all of the instances is going to be a part of your one class, or it's going to be, or some of the instances going to be one part, and some of the instances going to be the another part. So if it's a one class, no problem. But if it is having this means the uneven distribution of your classes in that particular group, so in that case, you are going, if you want to stop it, so you are going to select, you are going to assign the class label with your majority value. Like here in this case, where majority of the instances is going to have the safe class. So I'm going, if I want to stop at this point, I'm going to say this is the safe one. In this case, it's your risky, because the most of the instances is a part of your risky class. So that's why I'm going to say this as my final, this I'm going to declare as a leaf, and the class label is going to be a risky. So this is one of the way to decide whether this is one of the way to decide what should be the class label of your leaf. Next thing is related to which attribute I need to select and what should be the attribute splitting criteria. So this we are going to see in coming slides. And next, when to stop. So the stopping criteria is going to, either you can fix it at this level, at this label I want to stop, so that you can also fix it, or if all of the instances going to be a part of your one class, that also you can that criteria you can also select it to stop. Okay. And if all the instances is having the same attribute value, so when in that case also you are going to stop. Even if we selecting attribute and performing the division based upon that, so all the instances as all the instances is having the same attribute value, so all are going to be a part of your one side only. So this also you can consider as a stopping criteria. Okay, so the next we are going to see how to build it. Like suppose, although it's not your in total, it's your 40. For example, assume it. This is just to show how the structure is going to look, means how your data set is going to look. If we are considering this type of example. So suppose, for example, we are having 40 instances and we are having three features. We are not going to consider this last one as my feature. This is your class label. Only the attribute which are explaining your features, that is going to be a part of your that is are going to be considered as a part of your feature. This last one is final class label, so we are not going to consider as a part of your feature. So this 22 is going to be fall in your safe class, 18 is going to be a part of your risky class. That I'm going to decide based upon what information I am having. So like we were having 40, so out of 40, 22 is your safe, 18 is your unsafe. So in total it's going to be 40 only, but the division is this. Okay. Now, as I said, I'm selecting this credit. So 9 of the instances are a part of this excellent side. 13 of instances is a part of this fair side, and 18 of the instances is a part of your third side. So now, as if I want to stop at this label only, so as 9 all are part of your one class only, so I can say it's a safe. In this case, 9 is greater than your 4, and if I want to stop at this point, I'm going to say it, the class label is safe. In this case, 14 is higher, so in that case I'm going to say the class label is risky. Okay, so this is going to be your structure. Now next we are going to select. Next we are going to find how we are selecting this credit as my first point, or how we are going to select the other attribute as my first point. Means root one, or you can see the attribute which are going to be a part of the preceding root. So that we are going to see. In order to make a tree, we are having different sets of the algorithm, Hunt algorithm. This is one of the basic algorithm which you are going to use in all of the algorithm. This is just the basic algorithm. Next, we are having ID3, C4.5, CART, SLIQ, SPRINT. So these are the some of the algorithm which we are going to use for a decision tree. So in this decision tree module, I'm going to cover some of them. Now, what is the main concept of your Hunt algorithm is like, as it has been mentioned, it is the basic of many existing decision tree algorithms. So this is the basic algorithm if you want to go for a decision tree. This DT is suppose representing your sets of the record which are present at your node T. So these are just representing the number of the training example which are present at your node T. So these are the some of the procedure which we are going to follow. If DT contain the records which are belonging to the same class, that also we have seen. So this is going to be that. So in that case, I can easily assign the class name. If DT, if the for all instances, if the attribute value is the same, so in that case, I am going to use the majority class. If the DT is empty, so means the we are not having the sets of the instances to divide. So in that case, I'm going to use the default class, and the default class is basically we are taking as a the class which is having the major number, means large number of the instances compared to the other classes. And if at a particular node, if you are having more than one classes instances, so in that case we are going to perform further splitting. So this example has been covered here. Like here you can see most of the instances are a part of your no class. So so, so that's why here I have written OG. Next, suppose I have selected refund. So refund, we are having the value yes and no. So these are the two division. So based upon the yes, if we say the majority of the class table, like here it's no, two no is there. Out of three, we are having two no. So that's why it's a don't change. Even in case of your no also, it's your majority of your instances are your no. So that's why we are going to have the don't change. Next, again, I'm selecting it as suppose if I'm selecting marital status as my next attribute. So, uh, so, so based upon that marital status, suppose if I'm taking single and divorce as a one side of your as one attribute value. So the instances which are having these two values going to be that side, and sets of the instances which is having only marital status is married as your marital status is going to be at your that side. So this way your division of your instances are going to be performed when we are using the decision tree. So we will see how this selection is happening. So just whatever we have covered till now. So this is just if you are having the empty tree, then you can go for the majority class label. If you are it's not your empty tree, so two cases could be possible. Either all the instances is going to be a part of your one class, or some of the instances is going to be a part of one class, and some of the instances is going to be a part of the another class. So in that case, majority class you can use. Okay. Now next we are going to cover this ID3. So basically, the criteria for your ID3 is we are going to select the one attribute, and next we are going to see that if I'm selecting that this attribute, how the division is performing, means how accurately the division is performed. Now based upon that accurate division, whoever attribute is giving me that accurate division, based upon that only we are going to select the attribute. So basically, in case of the ID3, I'm going to use information gain as my criteria to select the attribute. So this is your algorithm. ID3 is your algorithm, and this is the criteria. Based upon that, you are going to perform the attribute selection. Okay. Before that, for your attribute we can have different kind of the attribute. So now based upon your different kind of the attribute, your selection criteria or your division criteria will also be different. So the type of the attribute which we could have is you binary, nominal, ordinal, continuous. Binary means two value, nominal categorical, ordinal that means order is important, and continuous basically the real value. If attribute can have real value also, like your height, age, salary of a person. So these kind of the attribute we will have. So now based upon this, means whenever you are going for the division, whenever you are going to select the attribute and based upon that attribute you are going to perform the division, you also need to take care about means what kind of the attribute you are having. Okay. Next thing is whenever we are going, once we have selected the attribute, next we the division of the attribute could be a binary way splitting or it could be a multi-way splitting. Even if it is a multi-way splitting, you can convert it into a binary way splitting, like we have seen here, like this. For a marital status, we were having single and divorce and married. We were having three values. Means for a marital status, three possible values were there. But here in this case, what I have done is I have divided into the two parts, because some of the attribute value like your single and divorce, that I have considered as my one side. Okay. So if we are having multiple value also, so even that multiple value also I can summarize into a two ways. So let's see how this binary splitting. So binary splitting is just having the two values. So like here in this case, this refund, we were having only two values, yes and no. So it's going to be a binary split. It could be a multi-way split also, like here in the case of your marital status. Like if I'm considering this as a attribute, so it's going to be a single, it's going to be a divorce, and it's going to be a married. So these things we will have when I'm considering this marital status. The same I can also summarize, or we can divide into in terms of your binary splitting. So in that case, it's going to be any combination you can take. So like suppose here I have taken the single and divorce as your one side, and here I have taken married as your one side. So the same, so the whatever kind of the data you are having, so these combination or this thing you can also explore, whether you want to go for the binary splitting, whether you want to go for the multi-way splitting. If you're not specifying, so if it's a multi-value, so in that case it is going to be work as a multi-way splitting. So this. Now the next important thing is your continuous attribute. So in case of a continuous attribute, like if I'm considering the multi-way splitting, and that too with your each unique value, so the number of the branches is going to be very large. Like suppose if you're having age, so for your age you can have the number of the branches. So this is not going to be the feasible one. So it's not going to be the case for your age only. It's going to be applicable for each type, each value where you are having the continuous value. Each type of attribute, each attribute for which you are having the continuous value. So for that we are having these two ways. Based upon these two ways you can handle this case. So the first way is your discretization. So basically in case of a discretization, what you are doing is you are going to divide your attribute into some sets of the discrete form, like suppose if you are having the age, so you are going to say that 18 to 30 is going to be your one side, 31 to 40 is going to be the another side, 40 to 50 is going to be the another, 40 to 60 or 80 whatever it is going to be a part of the another side. So here what you have done is you have divided your continuous value into a parts, or you can say into in a form of a buckets. So this is one of the way to deal with your continuous value. It could be your static, that means at the initial phase only I have divided it. Could be your dynamic also, like suppose if I'm considering this one. So based upon this, I'm going to change my range based upon the number of the instances which is following in your one bucket. Like suppose, for example, this is your this is the first case. Here we are having 18 to 30, and here you are having 31 to 40. So based upon number of the attributes, I have number of the instances. First, I have divided it. Next, suppose if we are getting good number of the instances, and based upon that, suppose the range is this one. Suppose for example we are getting range in this one. So again, I am going to readjust it. 80 to 30. Suppose here I am going to make it as 80 to 35, and next 36 to it's suppose 40, in order to make this equal frequency. So here we are adjusting it based upon the condition. And in case of your dynamic static one, it will be fixed through. It will be fixed. Once I have fixed it, we are not going to change it. Now in this case, it could be your binary also. It could be your multi-way also. But usually it's going to be multi if it is this one. Now in this case, we can have the one. We can have the another criteria, like I'm selecting one threshold. Like suppose I'm selecting, like suppose if the age is the attribute, so in that case I'm going to select one value as my threshold. So suppose I'm selecting 30. So if the so this 30 is going to be work as my threshold criteria. So what the threshold criteria? If suppose if the value is less than equals to 30, then I'm going to be at this side, and if it is greater than 30, then I'm going to be on that side. So as you can see, I have converted this continuous attribute into a binary form. So just I'm using this V I need to decide, and in order to select V, we need to perform some kind of the experiment. I can't just randomly set it. If you are just randomly setting, so possibly for some of the cases you are going to get the result, for some of the cases you are not going to get the result. So that we needed to set it experiment. So whatever, whenever we are having any parameters related to your classifier or related to any of the machine learning algorithm, we need to set it experimentally. If you are not setting it experimentally, so by chance, if by luck, if you have selected some good value, in that case you are going to get the result. But if it is not, then in that case the result will be not that much accurate. Means the model will not be that much accurate. So whenever we are performing this uh, whenever you are performing the parameter setting, for that we need to select experiment, or some logic should be there whenever we are selecting. Okay, so this is just the explain, just to cover this, how we are performing this, how we are going to divide it when it is your continuous one. So like suppose if it is your income, so this based upon the income only I'm going to divide it. So here I have drawn this line. So whatever the instances is going to be a part of this, means whatever instances is less than 30, so it's going to be a part of this side, and whatever the instances which are greater than 30 is going to be a part of this side. And this one is basically representing a safe one. So the instances which means the class level for this side is going to be a safe. As you can see, the number of the instances with respect to this safe is higher. In this case, the number of the instances is quite higher with respect to your risky class. So this side of your tree is going to be a unsafe or risky one. This the same thing has been represented here. Here it's show unsafe, and here it's show safe. The same thing we can apply for any of the continuous attribute, whether it's income, whether it's your age. Okay. Now next, we are go like here in the previous case we have considered only one attribute, and that we can cover with your two attribute also. Suppose first I have first suppose for example, first I have divided based upon the income. Next I am going to divide it based upon the age. So suppose I have taken this as my criteria. So whatever attributes is going to be that means this basically with respect to this threshold, I have again divided my sets of the instances into the two sides. So one side is this one and another side is this one. So now based upon the number of the instances which we are having at this side, based upon that, if I want to stop, I can decide the class label, and some of the instances which we are having at this side, based upon that also I can divide the I can decide my class label. Like here in this case, it's going to be your safe, and in this case, for example, so this suppose your class I'm taking as a or the vice versa. Again, once you have selected this threshold criteria, again I can go with the another one. Like suppose if I'm selecting the income as my the next criteria, so now suppose if I'm selecting the greater than equals to 60, so now based upon that, this is going to be a clear division. Here it's this is going to be a safe one, and yet this is going to be a risky one. So I think this point is clear to everyone. Means how we are selecting the instances, and means how we are selecting the attribute. Means what are the different way to uh, to uh, to decide whether we need to go for a multi-way, whether we need to go for the binary way, and if it is a continuous one, then how we can proceed it. So this thing I mentioned here. So can we uh, can we continue in the next one? So from that, I will going to start with this. How like fun till this point we have covered um, what is your decision tree, and what are the means how means we can have different kinds of the attribute, and if you are having the different kinds of the attribute, if you are having different type of the values, now based upon your type of the value, the way we are splitting, the way we are selecting the threshold, the way the attribute value combination is selected, so that is going to be vary. So all is going to depend upon what kind of the attributes we are having. So now in the next class we will continue with how to quantify how your particularly selected attribute is going to go. So that we will continue with the next class. So can we stop at this point? Can we stop it at this point? We will continue in the 3 to 4 class. Hello.
Hello.
Hanji, can we stop at this point? 3 to 4 I will complete it.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. The participants, be on time at 3 p.m. 3 to 4 is the next session timing. So thank you all of you for this session.